We actually do a pretty decent volume of business here at Trinity. So it was really learning how to develop those types of customer relationships when you're working with larger, like Fortune 500 companies, because I was already used to working with smaller kind of mom and pop businesses from working with other farmers, vendors, that type of thing. You have to really learn how to talk to the customer, get information, figure out what's happening with them, and then what can you do to make the business work for both of you.
I think in accounts receivable, there is always that set of sort of pressure. Unlike AP, for example, you're working with vendors, and in AR, you are generating revenue from set of customers, and the are very difficult because when you want to send reminders to a customer, for example, it requires certain set of approval from the sales folks.
The relationship I think that AR has with the sales department is really the foundation for being able to have those push and pull relationships. No matter how good you are at communicating with the customer, if sales doesn't feel confident in your ability and the way that you're going to treat their customer, it's going to create internal friction, and that's going to make any external conversation that you're having more difficult.
Having the right set of communication channel with the sales team makes a lot of difference, because if the sales team has that confidence or trust in you when you're reaching out to the customer, they can do a joint effort with you.
I think technology has actually created a lot of efficiency in the credit and collection space. All the advances within AI have been amazing, and this quickly have AI analyze it. And that's something that would have taken an analyst an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, to go through and manually analyze and then come back with, hey, here's a predictive risk. That gives you some targeted customer accounts that you really need to focus on and take a deeper look. But customers really want self-service.
At Inflow also have seen something like that, panning it out, that level of predictive analytics, understanding A, which customers are the priority, and B, which actions are the priority, and C, having a sort of a collector's work list or an AR work list which the team can know what to focus on.
Because you want a system that's going to allow you to grow and that you can work with. It can also help with compliance, and especially things like we talk about financial compliance. I think that's what the future is going to look like. It's going to be these already set systems. You're going to layer AI on top of it as the AI develops, and then you're going to retrain your people. My advice to finance professionals to become a finance leader, you have to focus on people. You have to focus on the relationships. You have to learn what makes people tick, how people are motivated.
Hello everyone, I'm your host Amartya Singh, co-founder and CEO of Inflow, an AI product built by and for modern finance teams. Welcome to the 19th episode of Inside the CFO Office podcast, where we explore the journeys of finance leaders, discuss the challenges they have overcome, and gain insights into the future of finance. Today, I'm delighted to host Tracy in the topic of smart tech leading to smarter credit and collections. Tracy comes with a decade of superlative experience in AR at Trinity Logistics, a people centric freight solutions provider. Trinity Logistics has been solving logistic challenges since the last 45 years across truckload, LTL, intermodal, drayage, warehousing, and tech powered managed transportation services. Join us today as we deep dive into Tracy's phenomenal experience in the world of finance.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
Tracy.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thanks, Tracy. I think been great speaking with you and engaging with you. Looking forward to our discussion today, as and when we take further deep dive into multiple aspects of AR and credit and collections. So I think let's start with the first question. Let's talk about your journey towards becoming a
Yeah,
finance
so it
leader.
all started quite a while back. I actually worked on a family farm here locally in Delaware, and I did a lot of things. I did field work, I drove tractors, but I also did accounting for the farm, payroll, those kinds of things. So that's where I got my start. Eventually, I left the farm and I went and I worked accounts payable for a waste management firm when I left there, because that was quite a drive for me. So I was looking for something closer to home, something that wasn't going to take me an hour or so to get to. And Trinity just happened to be hiring. So I ended up coming into Trinity in the billing department as a biller. About 2 years after I started, I was a billing team lead. And from there, I made my way over to AR as a team lead. And now I'm currently serving as the director of AR for Trinity.
Got it. Great. I think you have seen a lot of aspects of finance, CFO tech domain, AP, and AR currently. So, how has been your journey experience leading at Trinity
So
Logistics?
it's been a super enjoyable experience. I've learned a lot. We went from an established system to implementing a homegrown CRM slash credit and collection system. It also houses our shipments. our provider data, all of that. So that was a really great experience getting to be involved in that project and learn how all of that works from the ground up. Trinity is also a really great place for women to work. So it's been super supportive. We have a really engaged executive level management team, and they've really helped pave the way and helped educate and support and mentor me throughout my journey with Trinity.
What I was saying is at Trinity, for example, right, and you have risen through the ranks. You went from billing to AR, team lead to director of AR. So, how has been your experience? I know that you mentioned that there has been a strong support from the management for you and for other leaders as well. And how has been your experience? I know that there are multiple aspects of leadership which comes into the picture. For example, you start from a 2-3 member team to a 4-5 member team, and the team keeps on increasing, and then hence your roles and responsibilities also keeps on increasing. We'd love to know a little bit more about how has been your experience in terms of managing.
So the billing team is actually quite a bit larger than the AR team is. So we had a couple of team leads when I was a team lead in billing. We actually split that team out by specialty. So I already knew regular billing just from being a billing specialist, but I also knew the specialty side of it. So I oversaw the specialty billers, which really gave me a lot of insight into things like third party paying systems, things like CAS, US Bank, etc., as well as having the experience in truckload, LTL, dray billing. So I was really able to oversee and develop that specialty team, really teach them the ins and outs of those kinds of specialty billing with those specialty modes and those kinds of portals. And then when I moved over into AR, I had the only AR experience I really had was from the farm, and it's very different than logistics AR. It's a worlds apart. And we actually do a pretty decent volume of business here at Trinity. So it was really learning how to develop those types of customer relationships when you're working with larger, like Fortune 500 companies, because I was already used to working with smaller kind of mom and pop businesses from working with other farmers, vendors, that type of thing. So when I came on, really learning how to manage those types of customer relationships and learning how to work with a team that wasn't behind the scenes, they were more customer facing now. So really learning how to not only develop my skills in building customer relationships and learning how to build relationships with our sales department, because that's super important for collections and credit as well, but really learning how to coach and develop that team to build those same types of relationships. And then how do you utilize those relationships to really improve your credit analysis, improve your collections rates, those kinds of things. Is really learning how to think out of the box, what options are out there, because maybe not every customer is able to pay at net 30 all the time. You have to really learn how to talk to the customer, get information, figure out what's happening with them, and then what can you do to make the business work for both of you? What are you comfortable with in terms of repayment? What are they comfortable with? And then how do you continue to move forward with business within that negotiation?
Got it. And I think one interesting aspect you mentioned is the customer facing aspect of it, right? So I think in accounts receivable, there is always that set of sort of pressure. Unlike AP, for example, you're working with vendors, and in AR, you are generating revenue from a set of customers, and the are very difficult because when you want to send reminders to a customer, for example, it requires certain set of approval from the sales folks. They say, hey, we have gotten the customer, you can't just send any reminders. It has to go through via. So there's a certain level of relationship management, if I may call that, especially where it comes from AR. So how did you manage those kind of relationship? How did you do that push and pull with the customers for AR?
The relationship I think that AR has with the sales department is really the foundation for being able to have those push and pull relationships, right? Because you want your salespeople to be comfortable with the conversations that you're having with the customers, right? Because we're talking about not only supporting customer business, but you're also talking about your salespeople's livelihood. And it's really important that they feel confident knowing that you're going to have the right type of conversation with their customer. Really communicating with sales is step one. And there's a lot of aspects to that. It's not only saying, hey, this customer's having problems. It's really saying, hey, I just want to let you know that I've reached out to this customer twice and I haven't gotten a response. I don't need you to do anything. I just want to keep you aware and in the loop. So it's making sure that they're never blindsided by anything that's happening with the customer and that you really keep them informed and very well informed. And then it's also saying, hey, I don't want to always come to you with a negative conversation. So I want to tell you that there are some customers that you recently brought on and they're performing really well. So if there's any other business out there, you might want to go and have a conversation with them and see what else that we can do for them, see how else we can support them. And that's going to set that solid foundation, because no matter how good you are at communicating with the customer, if sales doesn't feel confident in your ability and the way that you're going to treat their customer, it's going to create internal friction, and that's going to make any external conversation that you're having more difficult.
Got it. And that's a wonderful point. I think when you are reaching out to the customers, sales teams have a lot of involvement or interest in that because they have gotten the clients. Hence, I think having the right set of communication channel with the sales team makes a lot of difference, because if the sales team has that confidence or trust in you when you're reaching out to the customer, they can do a joint effort with you. And if there is a certain level of concern, then they can always jump in and speak with the customer and get that things rolling. That makes a lot of difference, and that was a wonderful point with regards to the sales
Yeah,
teams. Thanks.
absolutely.
Got it. So let's move to the next question. I think must have seen a lot of technology overall evolution over the last decade. I'd love to know, how do you see technology making credit and collections better, faster, and error free?
So I think technology has actually created a lot of efficiency in the credit and collection space. It's really made a shift from working out of spreadsheets to being able to work within a system, and then having that system create a lot of efficiencies. It's things like automating your credit risk assessment, because in the past that's been a completely manual process, right? You're just crunching numbers. And it's really nice to be able to say, hey, here's all the financial information on the customer. Here's their average day to pay. Here's what the trend looks like. Give me a customer risk score. And it just frees up more time for you to look at other things, because if you have customers that perform really well, you don't want to spend a lot of time in that customer's profile, right? You want to spend your time more on the exceptions, the people that may not be performing so well or are in the middle. They're not really bad, because you always have eyes on the really bad performers, and they're not really good. They're somewhere in the middle and they need a little bit more time and energy. So you want to have the availability without having to add twice as many team members in order to handle that type of customer volume. It's also centralizing all of your credit and customer information, because, like we were talking with the sales relationship, there are certain aspects of how the customer is performing that you want the sales team to be able to see. Maybe not everything. You want them to be able to see trends. Are their days to pay changing? Have they gone from paying us weekly to bi-weekly? Because that's a flag. And if you don't catch those things early, it can create a lot of issues down the road. It's things like AI. AI has been fantastic, right? All the advances within AI have been amazing, and it's predictive analytics. We can now access a ton of information and bring it all in at the same time, and this quickly have AI analyze it. And that's something that would have taken an analyst an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, to go through and manually analyze and then come back with, hey, here's a predictive risk. We've seen this type of behavior before. We're comparing it to this subset of customers, and potentially we think this is what could happen. And then that gives you some targeted customer accounts that you really need to focus on and take a deeper look and say, hey, are we on a good track with them or are we not? Are there some hidden risk here that we haven't seen? And that, I think those AI tools really just open that up and then let the team have more visibility to that type of stuff. From a customer perspective, and I'm sure that everybody hears it, but customers really want self-service. They want a portal that they can go into. They want to pull their own invoices. They want to look at what's happening with their account. They want to see where their shipments are, because we are a transportation company. They want to track that stuff on their own. They don't want to have to wait for somebody to give them an update. And they also want somewhere that they can just go in, they can click a link, and they can make a payment. They don't want to have a conversation with somebody every single time they want to do something with their account or they want to see some information. Really having those systems and all of that technology in place is a benefit for both sides.
Got it. So I think some wonderful applications of what you mentioned, right? One specific aspect you said, having the right set of credit controllership or credit risk levels to understand how risky or how more risky or less risky a customer is, and tracking right from the onboarding phase to understanding which kind of PR person do I need to put into, how to prioritize them from a collections perspective, how do you send the right set of dunning emails, or how do you have the right set of alerts and notifications. I think we at Finflow also have seen something like that, panning it out, that level of predictive analytics, understanding A, which customers are the priority, and B, which actions are the priority, and C, having a sort of a collector's work list or an AR work list which the team can know what to focus on, and then tracking it, whether it's working or not working. I think that's where I agree with you. The tech and the AI aspect really make a lot of difference. And I think the other interesting aspect, which we have also seen, is the buyer dashboard or the self-serve portal for the buyers, where buyers can really go and they can download the ledger statement, they can download invoices, they can raise disputes, they can give promise to pays, and as you mentioned, make payments over the buyer dashboard. I think that makes a lot of difference, especially if you have customers in the SME segment, because those guys are typically want to be very quick in whatever they're doing. So that makes a lot of difference, and that's what we have also seen in our buyer dashboard as well. And one other thing also I would like to know is the communications aspect of it, right? Sellers and buyers communicate a lot between each other. Do you see that also being a part of the technological change that can be done, or have you seen any challenges with regards to communicating over emails with
Um,
buyers?
no, I don't think we've really seen a lot of challenges, but we really pride ourselves on trying to be a tech forward company. So we're always looking for ways to improve that interaction. We're actually, I can give you an example. We're working right now with Happy Robot on some use cases with that. It even can come down to something as simple as, hey, if this is the type of conversation that you're having, let's let AI have that conversation, because from a personal interaction standpoint, this conversation over here is much more important for it to be a more intimate, one on one, personalized conversation. And you're 100% right. It's really identifying what is the customer's need, because the customer needs are not the same. When you're looking at different tiers of customer, the size of the customer, some people are really the bigger customers. They just want efficiency. They want to go in, they want to see it, they want to get it done. They don't want to have to deal with people a lot. The smaller companies, they're still
Yeah,
on that one on one interacting, and you need to service them both at the same level, because you need to have that variety of customer base. You need to have the large customers, the middle sized customers, and the smaller customers, because every salesperson in your organization is not equipped to service the same type of customers. You have to make sure that you have that broad customer base, and that then you're able to support them in the way that they need to be supported. I think there's a variety of ways to have those types of conversation, and I think that technology really streamlines a lot of that and then lets you have that one-on-one focus where you need it.
got it. Thanks, Tracy, for sharing your thoughts. Wonderful insights across via self-serve portal and communications, and predictive analytics to know which customers to focus on. Love the answer. You covered a little bit on AI aspect in terms of how AI is disrupting CFO tech stack, and you've given us few anecdotes as well. We'll also want to love to know what has been your take on the ERP aspect. Now we know that there are Oracles of the world, Microsoft of the world, QuickBooks of the world. What has been your experience in terms of ERPs handling the accounts receivable or the order to cash?
So I think there's two sides to that, right? So ERPs have some really great abilities, and creating a single source of truth for all of your financial data. And that's fantastic. You can integrate everything from our accounting to our shipment data to our carrier data, and it can all live in one space, and it's accessible to who needs it when they need it, right? And that's fantastic. And it also allows you to scale, right? Because you want a system that's going to allow you to grow and that you can work with. It can also help with compliance, and especially things like, we talk about financial compliance, but from a transportation aspect, we also have a carrier compliance portion of that. And so that kind of gives us visibility and helps us keep our carriers compliant and notifies us when they're not. And then we can go in, communicate with them, and address that, because that's super important for us, right? We have to maintain that carrier base. On the other hand, historically, ERPs have been notorious for being rigid, hard to use, not adaptable. But I think we're coming a long way. And I really think that AI coming onto the scene is really changing that for ERPs. I think it's really giving us a space that we can look at, okay, here's things that we haven't ever thought about using a tech system or an ERP to do. But with AI built on top of that, we can really expand the use cases for ERPs and really start doing some different things than historically have been done in the AR world.
Got it. I think it's very important that you are appreciating the value that ERPs bring in terms of building the source of truth, but you also are saying that AI as a layer on top of the ERP makes a ton of difference, and I totally agree with it. And we have also spoken about it with AI being that kind of a transformative layer or atop ERP to actually make a lot of changes. One minor question to you over here is that what do you think is going to be the future? Is it going to be ERPs themselves building the AI atop it, or is it going to be companies themselves building it within the companies, or you believe that there will be third party players who can build it atop the ERP and can provide that kind of a plug and play module to companies. How do you see? Is it ERP is going to do it, companies them to doing themselves, or third party
Yeah,
service
so I
providers?
think I can tell you from having a homegrown ERP system, I can tell you from that perspective, it's really fantastic to build something to your own specifications, but you also have to be aware of what your technology team is able to support, right? So having an internal homegrown system can be very difficult because you have other things that are happening, right? The only technology in your company is not that homegrown ERP. So, you have to be really careful as a company about spreading your tech resources too thin. So I think that for a lot of companies, especially larger ones, I think the future is really just going to be having that ERP system with that AI layered on top of it to allow them to do what they need to create efficiency, to really get automation in there. We're looking at a lot of those things right now. Like we're developing a new dashboarding for the AR team, just as an example. And we're looking at a lot of forecasting that the AI can give you to go into that dashboard. We're looking at those trends, that credit risk scoring, all of those things that you're able to layer on top of this to really help build that dashboard as well. And that all plays into the visibility that AI can give you when it comes to layering it on top of these things. And I think that in the industry, there is a fear of AI. And I think a lot of people are scared that AI is going to take their jobs or replace them. But that's
Right.
not the truth. Number one, it's a tool, right? It's not a replacement. It's just going to enhance the work that you're already doing. It's going to create efficiency for you, and it's going to allow
Right.
you to maybe hone your skills in another area, things that you don't really want AI to do. Because at Trinity, like you said in the beginning, we're people centric, right? So there's always going to be a personal service level in what we do, and that will never change. AI is not going to replace the AR team. That's never going to happen. On the other side of that, too, though, you have to remember that sitting in this seat, you have to learn how AI works, right? So somebody has to monitor this, and it can't always be your tech team. It's a new set of skills that I think finance professionals are going to have to learn and adapt to. But I think overall, I think that's what the future is going to look like. It's going to be these already set systems. You're going to layer AI on top of it as the AI develops, and then you're going to retrain your people. They're going to learn how, when, what, how do we follow up? How do we maintain this AI? It's just going to be a different level of knowledge for finance professionals.
Got it. I loved your answer. I think with regards to the AI automation coming into the picture and how it's going to make the life of users much better. Great answer. Loved your answer. Let's move to the last question. What would be your advice to finance professionals to become a finance leader?
So, my advice to finance professionals to become a finance leader, um, I'm going to tell you, technical things are really easy to learn, right? So you have a lot of people that end up in leadership positions because of what they can do from a technical perspective. But if you really want to be a serious leader, you want to be an effective leader, an influential leader, that's not enough, right? You have to focus on something different, and it's not tech related. You have to focus on people. You have to focus on the relationships. You have to learn what makes people tick, how people are motivated. You have to really have a level of care and concern for other people because you want people to trust you, right? And that's how you gain that trust. And I think that once you figure out how to develop your emotional intelligence, that really puts you in a position to be able to move to the next level and move into leadership and be really successful in that position.
Got it. I mean, for decades or so, finance professionals have been known to be very good at spreadsheets and reports and policies and controls. I think what you mentioned is very important because what we are also seeing over the last 2, 3 years or 4, 5 years is that finance professionals are becoming more and more customer facing, as something that you had also covered in the previous point. Finance professionals are also looking to work with tech folks, with sales folks, with operations folks, with marketing folks a lot more often. So I think that level of emotional connect, or as you mentioned, the empathy or the understanding how to work with fellow colleagues, customers, vendors, and as well as investors, right? Investors are one big aspect of working as a finance professional. That I believe is very important for them to have that emotional connect. So love your answer in terms of balancing the aspect of working with details, working with vision, and then working with people. Loved your answer,
Thank
Tracy.
you.
I think so. We have come to the end of the podcast, and thanks everybody for listening into the conversation that I had with Tracy. I hope you had a great time listening to us and listening especially to Tracy, and from her experience, I hope you've learned a lot. Thanks, and this is the closure of the 19th episode of Inside the CFO podcast of Office.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tracy.